And to help us make sense of what they call legal gobbledygook, from the University of the Philippines, Attorney Marichu Lambino, one of the private prosecutors in the ERAP or the Estrada plunder trial. Good evening, Attorney.
Hi, Kumusta?
Kumusta? Welcome back to ANC. Well, first of all, and we were already showing some of the changes in the previous VTR. No? Let's look at the differences between the original information that was filed and the proposed changes. Sana, no, hindi natuloy yung mga iba eh. And how major are those?
In the original information, there's a phrase there that says that Napoles misappropriated part of the PDAF. So this shows in the amounts of money that she accumulated, as shown by her lifestyle, hundreds of millions, 2 billion. The modest estimate is 2 billion pesos. 2 billion to 10 billion. That was deleted.
Okay.
Why would you delete that? Why would you reduce her participation into that of an accomplice? It was because of that lifestyle that was shown in the internet that a million marched in Luneta. Why would you delete Napoles' participation? So that struck me as quite strange.
Ito yun, we're showing that enabling Napoles to misappropriate PDAF proceeds for her personal gain. That was the one.
They deleted that in their amendment. It is as if she did not get a single centavo.
So it's as if she did not benefit, or
it's as if she didn't get a single centavo from the PDAF. Why would you do that? Why would you delete that?
How would it change? I mean, of course, we've been trying to get the ombudsman and some of the ombudsman prosecutors also to respond to the various theories about what they did, but so far they haven't given any statement. But how would that change the case against Mrs. Napoles, deleting that particular paragraph?
Well, while this charge is a conspiracy, it reduces her participation to that of an accomplice because the information does not state that she benefited from the PDAF. So that she did not amass wealth, because in plunder, the principals should have amassed wealth, 50 million plus. Here, it appeared like she just aided. She just aided the principal, the senator, and the chief of staff in amassing ill-gotten wealth. So that reduces her participation to that of an accomplice, which allows her to be able to bail.
Okay, because hindi na siya yung, how do you put it?
She's not a principal.
She's not the principal. She's not a principal anymore, and she's no longer the central figure. And
well, fortunately, it wasn't allowed. So.
Fortunately, it was allowed, of course, no. But so does that mean that hindi na siya yung sinasabi nilang mastermind? Because of course, in the past, no, they would always say that she was the mastermind of this PDAF scam, etc. But when it was removed, it reduced her participation to being an accomplice.
In the amendment, it was removed, but it wasn't allowed. So now we need to ask the prosecution or the ombudsman, what is now your intent? Since it wasn't allowed, are you still intending to show that she accumulated wealth? Or because you think she did not accumulate wealth, because you deleted it there, you don't intend to prove that part of the charge? So we should ask that of the ombudsman. What is now your intent?
Again, hopefully, we'll hear we'll hear a response from the ombudsman soon, ano? But moving on to the other changes, one of the changes also that was placed there was yung by himself and or in connivance with. That's also a proposed change in one of the information in the introductory paragraph. What would have been the effect of that?
By himself or in connivance with Richard Cambe, and then also public officer, and then collaborating with Napoles. So it makes the two of them, it makes the accused Bong Revilla and Richard Cambe both principals, and then Napoles and the other John Does are just accomplices, because there's no allegation that they benefited from the PDAF. And it also makes it possible, because it states here and or Richard Cambe. It gives Bong Revilla a window to pin the blame on the chief of staff.
Okay.
Because both of them are put here at the hub. The Supreme Court described the plunder law as a wheel conspiracy, and at the hub of it is the public official, or a group of public officials. So this kind of amendment makes accused Bong Revilla and Richard Cambe at the hub of it, but it also gives the accused Bong Revilla space or window to pin the blame on the chief of staff. So that's what it does.
And then another amendment is in paragraph A of the introductory paragraph. No, by repeatedly receiving, this was the original information, but then they tried to continue or put on or collecting directly or indirectly. So what does that? How does that change? No, from receiving, sinama na rin yung collecting directly or indirectly.
Well, collecting is a more active kind of verb, so it means that they initiated actions in order to collect, to get the PDAF by using Janet Lim Napol. So it's as if Napoles was just an employee or a service person helping them accumulate the wealth. But
and that they are directing the whole
directing the whole operation.
Okay.
Yes.
So in law, is receiving very different and receiving very different from collecting, and does it carry less weight in terms of what you call this punishment or guilt, no, or liability?
Well, to be fair, the plunder law uses the word receiving also, receiving or collecting. So it's all right to use the word receiving, but maybe to emphasize his actions or overt acts, they added the word collecting.
His participation. Instead of just being a passive recipient of funds, the person being referred to here could be actually soliciting or parang humihingi. Okay, another word that they added in the same paragraph, percentage. What is that? What does that signify? Wala naman.
Well, it's just to give them a ballpark figure or a round figure because they did not specify here the exact. Kasi di ba the testimony was hinahatiran ng pera?
Okay, yes.
Hindi na nila, they did not anymore specify that. So just to be safe, they just put a percentage of the PDAF. So they have room to prove how much it was, as long as it's above 50 million pesos.
And then again, of course, after the next received, they also added or collected, no? So the same explanation earlier. Ito namang, at the end of the paragraph, there was, which duly funded projects turned out to be fictitious, tapos they added and or anomalous.
And or to give them room to prove that maybe the NGOs are not really fake, but the funds were not used in the manner that they're supposed to be used. So that's just to give them room for proof or evidence.
Okay. So hindi lang, even if the project was not actually fictitious and it actually happened, there was still anomaly in the way the project was carried out.
It's still illegal.
Okay. In the next paragraph, paragraph B, by taking undue advantage, etc. They added by exerting undue pressure on the implementing agencies. This paragraph refers to what they supposedly did with the officials of the agencies. So instead of just by taking undue advantage of his position authority, they also exerted allegedly undue pressure on the implementing agencies.
Actually, that's already covered by taking undue advantage of your position. But it's all right if you want to show that he exerted undue pressure to emphasize his role, the role of the accused, Bong Revilla and Richard Cambe. That's all right if they could prove it.
So it would have actually been redundant, no? If or superfluous. It doesn't add anything, or
it emphasizes the role of the principals.
Okay.
In the overt acts that they did in committing plunder.
Okay, as we said, it was a bit controversial, no, when they tried to amend the information at that particular point of the legal proceeding. Walk us through the rules on amendment of information. When are you supposed to do this? At what stage? And what should be? How do you do these things?
Technically, the prosecution is entitled, as a matter of right, to amend the charge before arraignment.
Okay.
But here, it's a bit too close because it was filed 48 hours before the arraignment, and the court did not officially know about it until the day of the arraignment, and the accused was already in court, and that's the only time that the court officially knew of it. Of course, they probably heard of it in the media, etc., etc. But officially, they knew of the motion to amend only on the day of the arraignment. So you could argue, is that before arraignment or already on the day of the arraignment? So if you could say that it's on the day of the arraignment, the court was well placed to deny it because it was cut too close. It was not before arraignment, but on the day of the arraignment. So maybe that was what was going on in them. And the accused has been arrested. The accused is in detention on the original information, and the court had ruled upon the motion for judicial determination of probable cause. Now you want us to change that charge? We jailed him for that charge, and now we're going to change it.
So the court was well within reason in saying that. I think one of the justices was quoted as saying that, if you want to change the information, then we'll also have to review the issuance of the warrant of arrest against the accused, and this could lead to the release from the detention of the accused.
Yeah, I know that there's no specific provision in the rules of court that says that if the accused is already detained and he was detained based on that original charge, if you're going to change that charge substantially, the accused is entitled to be released. That's not in the rules of court, but it's an element probably of fair play and due process that you jailed him for that charge and now you will change that charge. He's entitled to some kind of due process by being able to question again the amended complaint, the amended information or the amended charge, and being released because the original charge had been replaced with substantially replaced with an amended one. So maybe it's what was going on in the minds of the justices was fair play, due process, because it was too close. It was cut too close to the day of the arraignment. And more important, the accused were put in jail
already
based on that charge. So it's unfair. So maybe that is what's going on there.
So in your assessment, was the proposed amendment drastically different from what was originally alleged in the original information?
What struck me was the fact that they made it appear as if Napoles did not gain anything, did not pocket a single centavo, when we all know that she has houses all over the Philippines. She has houses in New York. Her children has sports cars, and she has from 2 billion to 10 billion. Why did you delete that? There's it doesn't. And now what is your intent? Is the intent now not to prove that at all because you think that she did not pocket anything because that was your amendment? So we should demand from the prosecution to explain and to tell us what is their intent now in the proof. Are you now going to, do you now think that Napoles did not gain anything? Because that was what you put in your amended charge.
So if in some way they succeeded, or even if they did not succeed, based on that theory or their legal thinking, would that have allowed Mrs. Napoles to become a state witness? No? Pag sinabi mong hindi na siya yung central figure, accomplice na lang siya, and in fact you said based on that new wording, pwede na siyang, she could have applied for bail already.
So you're asking a hypothetical. This is a hypothetical question because it was not allowed. Fortunately, it was not allowed by the Sandigan. But hypothetically, if it had been allowed and Napoles was reduced to that of an accomplice, she could apply to be state witness. There could be negotiations, there could be deals, and so on and so forth. So, but it was that's really a source of discomfort because we all know that she pocketed from 2 billion to 10 billion. And what's going to happen to that if you have a deal with her? So fortunately, it was not allowed by the Sandigan to that if you have a deal with her. So fortunately, it was not allowed by the Sandigan. But the question is still rankles in our mind because what is now the intent? Is the intent not to prove the 2 billion that she amassed herself?
But since it's already there in the original information, because the court didn't allow them to change it, would they have to prove that already, the original allegation that she amassed and she pocketed?
No, do they want to prove it?
Ayun,
because the intent was to delete it.
Okay.
You need to ask them, do you intend to prove that? Because you wanted to delete it. So that's what's really disturbing.
Okay, we will make sure to ask that, attorney. And then just before we move on to the actual plunder law, other than the previously proposed amendment, if the prosecution wants to strengthen its case, how do you go about it?
You need to show by documentary evidence that the principals themselves, in this case the accused, Bong Revilla and Richard Cambe, amassed 224 million pesos. And it would be good if you could show that by documentary evidence. And that would be the
tricky. Hindi lang testimonial.
Hindi lang testimonial. Kasi dun sa kaso ni dating Pangulong Estrada, ang gusto ng court yung may documentary evidence. So ang tinanggap nila doon yung 545 million wetting money na evidence by 200 million pesos na dineposito ni Yoli Ricaforte sa Equitable Pisay Bank. Na may mga, tapos naging mga cheque yun na napunta sa Arab Muslim Youth Foundation. So meron siyang paper trail.
So there's a paper trail of the money going to...
Tapos yung sa Bell Shares, yung commission na 189 million na binigay ni Willie ng Osher, napunta siya sa Velarde account. So merong paper trail. Tapos yung pinangbayad dun sa Boracay Mansion, yung cheque na yun nanggaling dun sa Velarde account. So yun yung mga tinanggap ng court. Gusto ng court na meron kang documentary evidence. So, sana maipakita nila dito na merong ganong documentary evidence na yung pera napunta doon sa mga principal accused.
Okay. And please walk us through the plunder law provisions. What are the elements of the plunder law?
Plunder is committed by a public officer who amasses or accumulates ill-gotten wealth in the amount of 50 million pesos or more, committed with a combination, through a combination or series of overt or criminal acts. And then it enumerates 6 categories there: by malversation and misappropriation, by disposing of a government property illegally, by connivance, by creating commercial enterprises to benefit other businesses, by creating monopolies, and by using undue influence, using your position to amass the wealth. You need to show those predicate acts. According to the Supreme Court, speaking through Chief Justice Renato Cunha, he was only justice at the time and later became Chief Justice, so he is a good resource person for plunder. The well, it's pronounced gravamen by Americans, but the gravamen, or the essence of plunder is not that the participants accumulated wealth. That's not the essence of it. The essence of it is that there's a hub or a central figure, which is a public official, and the people around him, which is a wheel conspiracy, all agreed to participate in helping him amass wealth. Now, if they themselves got commissions, you could also show that as an incident. But the gravamen or essence of plunder is they all agreed to help the principal, which is at the hub, to accumulate the ill-gotten wealth. You need to show the predicate acts, a series, two or more criminal acts, such as using undue influence and getting bribery commissions. Those categorized as a series of acts, 2 or more.
So the central figure, the one in the middle, has to be a public official. It cannot be that it's a private individual.
According to the Supreme Court, speaking through Chief Justice Renato Cunha, that is the essence or gravamen. I don't use that word, but the Supreme Court used that word. The gravamen of the offense is that at the hub of it is a public official, and the people around him, a wheel conspiracy, the spokes around him, the people around him, connived and agreed to commit a series of illegal acts to make him accumulate wealth, ill-gotten wealth, 50 million pesos or more. So you need to show there was an agreement and they committed overt predicate acts. Hindi lang basta lang maipakita na they accumulated wealth.
50 million
you
or
need
more.
To prove predicate acts, predicate overt acts, that they used undue influence, that they committed malversation, and so on and so forth.
So is it so tama ba yung argumento? Because somebody is put forth the argument, ano, na only the public officials or the public officials involved or accused could be charged with plunder and not the private individual.
It is a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy which in law means the act of one is the act of all. So all of those in the wheel, it's called the wheel conspiracy. The Supreme Court called it a wheel conspiracy. All of those in that circle are, if you have enough, if you have evidence beyond reasonable doubt, are guilty either as principals or as accomplices.
Okay. So plunder pa rin ang kaso, even
so
if you're
even a private individual, as long as he is part of that wheel conspiracy. Like in the case of Janet Lim Napoles. But you know, let's not close our eyes to the fact that, you know, she pocketed 2 billion to 10 billion. But the intent was to delete it there in the amended, so that's really strange.
Okay, we will ask the ombudsman why they tried to do that. At least the ombudsman prosecutors. Now let's go to the suspension of the accused public officials. Earlier today, or just late this afternoon, the Sandigan Bayan also issued a ruling suspending naman former President Gloria Arroyo.
Now they thought of it.
Who's been in detention since 2011, for the last 3 years. But I think in this particular case, it's arising from the NBN ZTE deal. So, does that mean that the public officers or officials charged with plunder do not automatically get suspended?
Well, to be prudent about it, it's better to get an order from the Sandigan Bayan because this is a criminal case, and the Senate and the House no longer have jurisdiction because it is a criminal case, and the suspension arises from the criminal action. So it is the Sandigan Bayan who has jurisdiction over incidents from the criminal action. So it is proper for the Sandigan Bayan for the order to emanate from the Sandigan Bayan.
Okay.
Upon motion, maybe, to be prudent about it.
So there has to be a motion also.
Yeah.
I think this was pointed out earlier by Senator Jingo Estrada when we had an interview with him before he got arrested.
But this goes into how the prosecutors do their work. Because, but ngayon nyo lang now you thought about it.
In the case of former President Arroyo, ngayon lang lumabas
Bakit ngayon, because you've been reading the news reports, people are asking, bakit si Gloria Macapagal Arroyo hindi na-suspend? So now they thought about it, and now they moved to have her. So what kind of work is that, Lynda?
I don't know. Again, another thing to ask them. The 90-day suspension, it's supposed to be a preventive suspension. And in the case of President Arroyo, preventive suspension. What are you preventing them from doing? Kasi parang ang nangyari, and let us deviate a little bit. Now, in the case of former President Arroyo, hindi na siya president, so she could no longer,
The goal is to prevent the accused from destroying evidence within his or her control. So that's not just literal physical control, but she could order people, her staff members, to destroy evidence. So that's what the preventive suspension or the suspension order tries to stop the accused from engaging in acts that would destroy evidence. Although well, maybe they think that if she no longer signs payrolls, the staff members would no longer be taking orders from her.
Okay.
Because if you're still in office, you sign payrolls, you can give instructions to your staff. But here, if you're suspended, you can no longer sign their payroll.
Okay, last na lang. 90-day suspension for any of them, not necessarily kay former President Arroyo. And we know that these trials don't get finished in 90 days. Can you continue, extend the suspension, suspend them again, or after 90 days, that's it?
Under the plunder law, it says that for the duration or pending trial, the accused public official could be suspended. It shall be suspended. It says shall be suspended. So yes, it is a pending trial. The accused could question it. They'll probably go to the Supreme Court. I don't want to teach them, but they could do that. But that's what's provided for in the plunder law, that they shall be suspended pending trial.
So hindi lang 90 days?
Hindi lang. It's pending trial.
Pending trial. Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll hear more of these things as the trial progresses, if they finally get off the ground. And we'll try to invite you for more of your insights, attorney.
Thank you. Are we too hard on that?
No,
I think it's a matter of public interest because billions, 10 billion pesos is involved here, and those are our money. Those are people's money. So I think we should be interested in it.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Marichu Lambino. We'll see you again. Coming up, we talk to stalwarts of Lakas and the United Nationalist Alliance.